Alright everybody, welcome to another cast here at the Heroes Launch. We're currently looking at playoffs if I'm not mistaken. I just came back from the mid-season brawl, had an amazing time in Sweden, and now after the first good night's sleep I thought we could just jump into a bit of amateur league casting before we head back into HGC. So we have a game between the Forever Alones, a bit of a porn star name right there, and the CLN Giants, and to the left side in blue here on Tomb we have Bias on Chromie. For the Forever Alones, we have Undead on Zeratul, Zephyr on Brightwing, Captain G on Blaze, Sif on Johanna, and to the right side their opponent, the Giants, with Eisen on Malfurion, Getandra, I guess, on Tracer, Steffi on Tassadar, Hieronus on Murden, and Sarel is playing Sonya. I'm actually pretty excited for this one. HeroesLounge is currently heading into their playoffs, so this should actually be pretty sweet. And keep in mind when you're watching this right now that they still have the sign-ups open for the next upcoming season, and those will be open throughout the entire month of June. So if you haven't signed up for HeroesLounge yet and you happen to be in Europe, if you have a team, even if you're an individual player, make sure to check it out. There's going to be a link in the description of the game where you can just browse through the FAQ. It's a great community. The boys and girls were with 60 people at the mid-season brawl actually. They created a pretty amazing atmosphere there and were super hyped. It was pretty cool to see this many of them. So yeah, it's a really fun community that they have there. But I mean, looking at this game, we're having, of course, for the Giants, a double support Tracer composition. And with this setup, especially on this map, it's always pretty amazing when you have Tassadar, because he gives you so much vision over the turning points. It's one of the biggest assets that you can actually have on this map, that you have vision of what's happening, so that it makes it a little bit easier for you to get good rotations going. You're usually in an area where you're trying to find out, okay, is my opponent maybe trying to set up a trap for me in one of the brushes? Are they going to try and sneak a turn in somewhere? So Hanzo is very good on the map because of that, because of his vision aspect, and at the same time then we have Tassadar that also fills a very similar role. Now outside of that, the one thing that really is kind of important here as well is that we actually have a Brightwing solo support. Now, I think most people that are watching the game right now know my relationship with Brightwing is not really a good one. I think Brightwing is an oversized fruit fly and is about as useful. So, in that particular context, I'm a little bit excited to see what they can pull off with it. Because the Forever Alones here have now, with Zephyr and Brightwing, at least the option to use Zeratul maybe in a bit of a sneaky way. When he is able to sneak up to someone and Brightwing teleports in, you could make it on the solo lane, for example, for a quick 1 versus 3. But right now, we're not really seeing any kills happening just yet. The solo lane is still Sonya against Blaze. Blaze, of course, has shown some fantastic games at the mid-season brawl, and whoa, Undead is in trouble as Tracer moves in and takes Zeratul down, and that's the first blood right there for the Giants. CLN Giants with the first blood in the game. You might also want to take a quick look to what Tassadar is currently doing here. Now, we've been talking about this actually quite a bit during the mid-season brawl games as well. His level 4 talent is already speccing into the extra armor. Now, normally when you have a Tracer, you oftentimes still see Life Leech, but we have observed in the past, especially with Vala compositions, that Tassadar players were starting to go a little bit away from the extra Life Leech and headed into armor instead. One of the reasons is that it helps you to prevent burst damage kills, and it's also a little bit easier to keep your front line alive. So Zeratul, for example, is going to have a bit of a better time with that extra armor that's going to be provided by Tassadar, and that's one of the things to definitely watch out for here. A couple of other adjustments that we're seeing in the build. Well, we have Captain G currently still fighting off against Sonya at the bot lane, so the 1 versus 1 is still locked here. The Storm talent, Hammer talent on Murden on level 1, so he's really going into the stacking process here and is trying to make sure that he's getting some extra damage in, which is really going to help them with the burst in the long run as well. But outside of that, we're still having pretty much the rotation between the mid and top lane dominating the entirety of the game. So it's really just important that you claim the space and you're trying to clear the waves a little bit faster than your opponent, and then you rotate up. You don't have to fight here all the time, but if you can set a Stormbolt up with a good Malfurion route, then it's always nice. Oh my god, nice play! Look at that, kid. Tracer goes in and delivers the final blow. Was a really cool setup by Murden and Malfurion, but that really looked as if Brightwing would get away, and all of a sudden we're having Tracer just zipping in and taking her apart. Chromie completely zoned out here on the left side. Nice dodge on the time trap here as well. And the turn-in is there, but it's the blue team that was able to sneak it in, not the red team. And Tracer all of a sudden is being chased down by Zeratul here, but still able to escape. Muradin on the other hand, he gets the quick shield from Tassadar and is fine too. Now, when it comes to the kills and also the rotations, I really think that the red team, that the Giants did a pretty good job here. But the big problem for them is really just that objective that was delivered a bit faster by the Forever Loans. And now, of course, they need to try and get something out of that. Push those lanes in, make sure that they are getting a few of these towers, and so the extra experience. Bot lane is going to be important for that. But up here to the top, Chromie is now playing exactly the game she wants to play. Firing away here the entire time and sieging in with the Web Weaver. But still, need to be careful here, because there's still that kill potential that we have from Tracer, but they're moving away for now. The bot lane in the meantime, we're having Captain G going up against Sarel here, the Blaze-Sonya matchup. Sonya doing a pretty decent job actually defending this, but one of the towers is still down and the second one is about to fall. And when we're looking up here to the mid lane, we have a very similar picture. But what really impresses me the most is that throughout all of this, the Giants were actually able to stay even in experience. Now this is a pretty cool thing for them to happen. Where's the roots? Eisen? He's trying for it. Doesn't quite lock it in though. So given the early game, I would really say that it's pretty impressive what the Giants are currently pulling off here. They weren't able to prevent the turn-in, which was a bit unfortunate from their perspective, but they basically shut most of this down. They had a slight lead in experience as the turn-in came into play, and now they are still even with their opponent after a full Web Weaver phase. That's pretty respectable here. Chromie with a level 1 completed at this point, so we're talking about Vision a bit earlier, and Chromie of course is going to try and deliver that for their team. Once again she's in trouble though. The level 13 can't come soon enough. Timeout is really needed here for Bias to make sure that Tracer is not going to be as much of a threat. But by now, of course, it's all about the level 10. And not only that, it is about the Giants trying to confirm the turn-in. And once they get that going, then this could really start to snowball a bit out of the control of the Forever Loans. So they need to be a little bit cautious there. That being said, we have currently down at the bot lane, still Captain G starting to do his thing. And with the two turrets now gone, he has a bit of an easier time pushing this lane in, especially since Zeratul is roaming. So he's pretty well aware that there is no collapse coming onto him, and nobody's trying to take him down here. So far the game is actually pretty even. I mean, we have Poisonous Spear now taken on the side of Sonya that delivers a bit more burst damage with a double support setup that they're running here. They're of course extremely sustainable, especially since they also have Muradin, who by the way went into Skullcracker, not give him the axe. Now I think the reason behind this is mainly that they're trying to make sure that they can lock Chromie down a little bit harder. Now that they have the Web Weaver phase activated, they should also be able to get a lead in experience. But both of the teams here with level 10 abilities, and we have 4 Chromie slowing stands. Now with the setup that we're seeing here, it was definitely an option to go into the time loop, but they didn't really go for that. I guess one of the reasons is still that we have Tassadar with the extra shields, and that is just a bit too powerful to prevent the insta-kill. But here comes now that turn-in, and this is really the moment when the Giants can get a bit of a headway here. They still have all those towers on the other side that they can easily grab. Brightwing, by the way, with the Emerald Wind now, could maybe go for a bit of an isolation, especially with the Zeratul if they play their cards right. But outside of that, we also have the Twilight Dream for Eisen, and he needs to be careful. I mean, he is low already, and there is always the threat of Bias just going off with the combo and dropping him. All of them actually get fired down pretty hard here, so the defense at this point is good for the Forever Alones. And, yep, pushing it in once again. Down to the bot lane, Blaze with an easy defense, but the middle of the map, that's a different story. That's where the Giants are currently aiming for the first fort of the game, and it looks very much as if that is going to become a reality here. Timeout is now also ready for Chromie, helps her a little bit against Tracer. And outside of the early game, Getandra had a little bit of a rough time here with the kills, or trying to confirm them. Underdon, the Zeratul in particular, is really trying to lock Tracer down here. I'm also pretty sure that I'm murdering the pronunciation of that nickname, but seriously, if you go for this many caps and on-caps letters and you just mix all and mush all together, that's your own fault if the caster can't pronounce it, so I'm gonna blame it on you. That being said though, they have the first fort of the game, so there's a slight lead in experience, but this is still dead even. Now I have to say that for Tassadar it's pretty cool that he already completed his level 1 quest talent. Once he has 16, he's gonna have an easy time just softening up targets and really just zoning in. But with the turn-ins that we're now seeing to come into play, this is all about the second one. And one gem, that's all that the red team needs. And of course they deliver that with Malfurion at the bottom spot. The blue team has still a lot of gems though, and this is really the most important part. Can you keep those boys alive? Up to the top, Sonya with an early Iron Skin. Stormbolt should still be available, but they're not really willing to chase her down. Talking about chasing people down to the bottom of the map, Sonya all of a sudden in trouble, but Zeratul and Blaze are not enough to grab her in this case. I can only assume that the jet propulsion was still in cooldown, or that he missed one of them. Sonya is still surviving here. But the big deal for the Giants is that they are going to grab the level 13 talent, and that should really help to spice things up a little bit from there. And especially since it also makes Malfurion a lot safer with the Ice Block that we are still assuming he's going to get here. Nice firing away. Yep, Ice Block has been chosen, and Bias is still trying to get his shots confirmed. Now, of course, at this point, he is going to try and make sure that he has his quest completed pretty soon. At least Sandblast quest, we don't have that yet. We have only 3 stacks also on Broccoli on level 3 for Malfurion. But at least Muradin is sitting at 17 Storm Bolts. It's not too shabby, getting some extra damage in. It's nothing to write home about just yet, but he's definitely getting there. Dear Mom and Dad, today I reached 60 stacks on Muradin on 2 on the Spider Queen. We were so proud of our son. He's such a fantastic Muradin player. He had a couple of good moments, so all jokes aside, the setup that we saw earlier was actually pretty fantastic. I pointed it out when they had the follow-up with Malfurion. But talking about following things up, not only with the Web Weaver wasted, they get the top 4, they're also working on the bottom one. And I have to say that this game is starting to spiral a little bit out of the control of the Forever Alones, but they are on level 13, so they might be a level behind, a little bit more than that, but they're still in a position where they can turn this, especially if they manage to get a kill here. And they're doing really, really well, staying alive in this game. I want to say, this is actually a pretty sweet game so far. Muradin going in at this point. And unfortunately for the red team, they are missing the Tracer Pulse Bump. There comes the Malfurion Twilight Dream though, and Zeratul is in trouble. But he gets away here. Sif on Johanna has to pop the Iron Skin, but he is still low. Tracer, on the other hand, is sharing that fate, gets the shield from Tassadar, is trying to move in again. But what a match here. Like, these two are really at each other's throat. This is basically like 2 boxes in a ring just going at each other with 0 defense here, just blow for blow and exchanging those. And they're doing well with that. Now Johanna even going for the extra wave clear on the level 13 with the Burning Rage. But again, the jet propulsion comes in and Captain G needs to be cautious. 28 gems on him and he goes down. And that's a huge chunk of gems lost. 28 down. I'm not gonna lie, boys and girls, that hurts. Would hurt more if Sif falls as well, but the time trap, at least for now, stops Muradin mid-flight. And Zeratul snuck in the turn-in. Look at that. Undead, you sneaky bastard. Goes in and grabs the turn-in for his team. This comes actually at a pretty okay time. They're 2 levels behind, which always sucks, but at the same time, they still have their level 13 talent, and the red team don't have 16 yet. So this is one of those moments when you have to be careful, but you can at least get some value out of your turn-in, so that's going to help here. But of course the defense is already there. With a quick move to the top lane, the first Web Weaver gets burst down pretty quickly. And one of the big problems that we're now having for the Forever Alones is that they really need to take some structures down. Because they need that experience, and they need it very badly. Once again, here comes the engage. Keep in mind, Poison Spear on Johanna, so the burst damage potential is definitely there already. Avatar on Muradin being used, and we're having Sonya with the spin to win, but a little bit far out. Is able with a 13 to pull herself away though. The 16 talents are also in play for them now, so that is a situation where the Forever Alones have to be very careful. And they don't have a single kill yet, so they're still 2 levels behind. Didn't get too much done here in the mid lane either. Down to the bottom of the map, the Web Weaver has at least done some damage, but it's still a pretty significant disadvantage that the blue team finds themselves in now. If they can confirm a kill against Muradin, though, that might change here. Underdog bonus is a thing. Here comes the Void Prison. Unfortunately, the combo is not really working. Try to late. Oh, Undead is in trouble, and Zeratul goes down, but they get the counter kill against Muradin. And once again, a big chunk of experience in their hands. Tracer dodging everything, nearly everything, but barely getting away here. Good job still, really pressuring the front line on the side of the Forever Alones, and they are trying to retreat here. Bias still getting his shots and gets some extra damage against Sonya here. And once more, Cleanse coming out as Brightwing is trying to keep Blaze and Muradin alive. Sorry, Blaze alive. Muradin is already dead. But the storms are there, and that's just the double storm that we pointed out a bit earlier today already. Nice hit again by Bias, but so far the game is starting to really collapse a little bit onto the blue team, so the red team really needs to now try and run with this advantage. So if you guys take anything away from Heroes of the Storm games, it's really that when you have an advantage, a significant one, let's say a talent advantage, a big one, you want to force fights, you want to do something. And in this case now the Giants are trying to go for boss, and that alone is already a situation where they can easily then turn it around into a team fight. So you have a spot where you start the boss. If your opponent starts to contest, you can force a fight and you go into an advantageous battle, or you can just simply complete the boss. But you have to be a little bit careful, because it's always a dangerous situation if you're starting to commit to the boss and your opponent still contests. Now with the level 16 talent, they could have also simply tried to steal away the opponent's mercenary camp and maybe taken the siege giant at the bot lane as well, if they felt that it was not too much of an advantage. And as they're heading into 60 gems, they could have also tried to go for another turn-in. Ice Block being used by Brightwing to keep herself alive. And so far, the blue team is actually making sure that the Giants are not getting anything out of that advantage that they had here. So even though we had that level 16 talent advantage, they didn't really get anything. If you look at the map now, what have they accomplished? Did they push anything in? No. Did they get the boss? Far from it. Take the camp, maybe? Also a fat niet. So at that point, great play by the blue team, shutting all of that down, but now they have to face the music as the red team turns in again. And to be honest, that was kind of inevitable, but the big thing is that Captain G at the bot lane has at least gotten all the experience. Here comes an attempt to take him down, but that shouldn't really be a problem. There's already a quick polymorph. Avatar has been burned, so that's cooldowns being burned already. 16 versus 16. That's a big cooldown on Muradin that he just used, so that's already unfortunate in the attempt to take that down. Bias has completed his quest talent as well now, 16 minutes in, so that really helps Chromie with the damage, and now they need to try and defend this. Which, granted, is not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but they should at least be able to save some of their structures, and to be honest, I wouldn't really put it past them to save all the keeps, depending on how fast they burn this one down. And they are so far doing a really good job. Yeah, there's a Void Prison. Divine Shield has been thrown out. That didn't hit. Not really the best of synergy, but it's still good enough for a kill against Tracer. And Tracer is losing all of her level 4 stacks. That was a big one. Getting rid of the extra damage on Tracer, definitely a huge part of that play. Now, there's a bit of a lack of communication, as you could see, as Zeratul tried to use the Void Prison as a setup, and at the same time Johanna was going for the Blessed Shield. So communication could be improved here. But to be honest, given that this is an amateur game, I still have to give some credit to both of the teams. There's a lot of good stuff happening here that I really, really like. Now, I'm not sure what went wrong in draft to force you into Brightwing, which is still like, I mean, like, it's horrible. But besides that, they're not doing too bad. Brightwing is helping them at least to shut Tracer down a bit, and I think that was the original thought process in the setup as well. I'm not quite sure what I would have preferred here. Maybe even go into Karazim and try and put some extra single target damage on. Later on you have Palm available to counteract the bombs on Tracer. Could have maybe gone even into 7-sided, depending on how Muradin plays, if you're trying to blow him up here by some kind of play. But at least Brightwing offers a couple of things. You have the Cleanse available, you have Polymorph, and there's a lot of tools that she can use right now. That being said though, I'm really liking a lot of the stuff that both of the teams are doing here. There's definitely, you can see the communication happening, there's a lot of attempts at coordination, and I really like the calls as well. Blue team understood perfectly when they needed to take it a little bit easier, when they needed to play safe, and they were playing very well around talent advantages that their opponent held. And the red team was trying to get a lot done in these situations, but didn't quite work out for them. But they are still the ones headed to level 20 faster. Void Prison set up once again. Isn't that maybe the opportunity? Here comes the damage, but Bias doesn't time it properly. Under didn't release it either, so that was a bit unfortunate. Emerald Wind being popped as well, and Brightwing also with the Ice Block now on cooldown. So they need to be careful here. They are really low. A Captain is moving away, but Blaze is in trouble, and he's most likely going to fall here. Yeah. That's the end of him. Now the Web Weavers in the middle and the bot lane, they are getting value though in the meantime, and that's actually important, especially since the mid lane Web Weaver is currently moving towards the keep to But up to the top, it's a different story. Johanna might actually be able to walk away from this, and yes, she moves away here, a full-on 5-man chase, and that means that the Web Weavers are now getting the entire wall here, and down here they're starting to get some value too. So all of a sudden, that 2-level advantage that we saw earlier in the game has now shrunk to a 1-level advantage. Don't get me wrong, level 20 is still a massive plus on the side of the red team once that it pops into their hands. But at least that limit has been closed a little bit. And guys, they just lost a freaking keep. They seriously just lost the keep. Sonya was the only one who moved back and she was too late. And now look at the second keep here. All of a sudden the Giants are shitting the bed. They actually are in a spot where they were so far ahead that they didn't really think that anything could happen here. They sent Sonya back and said, boy, you're going to take care of it. And at the same time, that didn't work out at all. The fight at the top is one that they shouldn't take either, because now it's a 5 versus 4. The Giants have played a great game, especially here in the early and mid game, but now they're all of a sudden in a really awkward spot, and they're already trying to run. Zeratul has 5 seconds on the prison. To be absolutely fair with you, I think they should have tried and chased that. They have Blessed Shield, they have the Void Prison, they have all the tools that they need. Go in and take them down. That was their opportunity. They have level 20 now as well. I actually think that was a bit of a mistake to fall back there. Sonya was plainly visible on the bot lane, so with a bit of hindsight knowledge, I think they would have agreed that chasing there, going for a Void Prison setup, slowing Sands, and then a Blessed Shield, they could have gotten a kill or two. Be that as it may, 6 kills against 2, and all of a sudden both of the teams are on level 20. And we have the blue team in the lead. The Forever Alones have a keep down, and the second one is already about to fall at the bot lane if someone can sneak in. Someone... Zeratul... But the fight at the top lane is what they're focusing on right now. And I mean, right now, adrenaline is pumping, of course. So once again, the attempt to go for it. Sonya, by the way, going into the composite spear here on 20. No nerves of steel for her. Starting to already go for the kill here. Sonya with a spin to win. Tracer needs to be cautious. But we have the red team retreating right now, and they're already on the run. Muradin in particular is a little bit in trouble. That being said, I'm still liking Undead sneaking down to that bot lane. If they retreat and he goes in, 1 combo, and that's a kill there. So they could just sneak away. Gem count, 44 against 53. So nobody has enough for a turn-in yet. And that's the moment where another keep taken apart would really give you the edge. Zeratul not sneaking though. Both of the teams still looking for a setup, looking for a fight, and here comes the stun with the jet propulsion. But Muradin is looking for the counter engage. Tracer shifting around the entire time, trying to get into the backline, trying to go for bias. Gets it. Timeout is there. Keep that in mind. A little bit too early for my liking. Not dropping the pulse bomb here. Great resilience, great patience in particular. Resilience is there as well, but the patience is more so to it. And that's maybe the kill, and yes, there it is. That was great. Nice stun, and the immediate follow-up against Tracer, biting off a little bit more that she can chew here, so that was pretty cool. But this is also something that the blue team will have to answer to, because the wall is gone and the keep is vulnerable. Talking about keeps, this is really the moment when you want to make sure that you're getting the bottom keep. You have a 5 versus 4 going in your favor, so make sure that you go in and just drop it. Double keep down for the red team. Zeratul, the one that retreated here and is now starting to just take this entire wave apart. And that is a shit ton of gems that we're currently seeing here. I mean, he's already sitting at 2022, and they are starting to get closer and closer to a full turn-in. If Zeratul now sneaks to the top, takes this one, maybe another wave at the bot lane would also have been possible for him, but that's definitely an objective for the blue team. And there's 10 seconds until Tracer's back. And I mean, let's just face it, you have 2 keeps down already. You destroyed the middle, you destroyed the bot lane, and granted it was more so because of a shot calling mistake on the side of the CLN Giants, but at the same time you're now all of a sudden in a position where you can threaten the end of the game maybe even. Especially if you manage to turn in as well, and that's what they're looking for right now. If Undead turns in, that's immediately a Web Weaver wave, and he is going to be able to make that play. Yep, there it is. Web Weavers are going to come down. Now the red team is in trouble. They need a kill, and they need it fast. They need to somehow defend this, and it would be much easier if they can lock this down. A good Storm Bolt with a Twilight Dream follow-up would be absolutely amazing for them. They're trying to go for Blaze, and that's a lot of damage. Good output by Tracer once again, but the Void Prison is there. Johanna is a little bit far up to the front. She has Indestructible though, hasn't procced yet. Twilight Archon also being used. Muradin going in again, and Chromie's in trouble. Chromie's in a lot of trouble. Burns the timeout, tries to move away. Emerald Wind on Brightwing, getting value for them. but the Web Weavers are on the map, and especially this bad boy down here at the bot lane with a triple catapult setup needs to be reacted to. Over here to the top lane, similar picture, starting to move in against the fort. Tacita is rather low, but should be able to get away from this one. Sonya already on her way down to the bot lane. Well, good luck clearing that alone. That's going to take you quite some time with those catapults there. And in the meantime, the rest of the team is just sharking around and trying to not lose too much. And that means top lane. Top lane is getting attacked here. Right now, Forever Alones have absolutely no ambition to go for the core directly. They're just trying to get another lane completely obliterated. Bot lane is about to be completely defended, so that really works. But the music is playing all the way up at the top. 3 kills against 6, we're on level 21, 24 minutes into this game, and the CLN Giants are with their back to the wall. Undead needs to be careful, he's playing a dangerous game right now, always on the edge here. Nice, engage into Tracer again, and with a quick E moving away, the silence comes too late as Malfurion pops the Twilight Dream. But they're at least saving everything here to try and get that kill against Blaze. And they get the Blaze kill. Bunker hasn't been used here. Muradin is still in play, and that was the kill that they needed. All of a sudden, they have an opportunity to maybe turn that game around. They have lost still 2 of their keeps, and these catapults are now starting to hurt. Keep in mind, we're 25 minutes into the game. These things, they hit like trucks right now. They can definitely turn full Winion and win the game right there. So the red team still has to be cautious. They need to send someone back, and this time it's actually Tacita. But also, talking about sending people somewhere, this is Tracer in trouble, but the Singularity Spike is actually missing. Undead is not getting that. But Tracer is still not out of harm's way. He's trying to sneak away here. Should have a couple of charges ready, and this is actually starting to look a lot better. Sonya with an attempt to shield Claire and a dismount, but that didn't work out for them either. Down to the bot lane, 1 catapult is starting to get locked in. Shouldn't do too much because the wave just spawned, so that should actually help. And of course we're having Tacita also again on cleanup duty, playing the janitor here. They don't have a Leoric, so it has to be Tacita. And turn in attempt again. And that would be a big one if they can confirm that. Yeah, so far it looks good for the Giants. Maybe an attempt to get back into this. Keep in mind, if at any point you win a big team fight, get a turn in, maybe the boss even, all of a sudden the game looks very different. Especially 26 minutes into the game. A boss at this point in time would do so much work here. But once again, Bias with all the damage output. Talking damage, let's take a quick look at it. 76,000, but look at Tassa, 94,000 damage. Definitely getting value out of that Twilight Archon here. Doing great work with that. But the kills come in, and Trace has the first one to fall, and all of a sudden Muradin is also low. Nice Twilight Dream though, and Zeratul is dead. Can they follow it up with the second kill? Sonya with the spin to win, but the bunker is on the ground. Sif on the other hand can't get close enough. Procs the 20, Indestructible being used, but Muradin is dead. Chromie just firing away, and it's Tacita again, who is just obliterating people. He is shitting on them, but there's the kill against him. And Sarel all of a sudden with a long composite spear takes another kill against Brightwing. Bias still firing away, and this game just went full bananas. Turn in attempt here by Malfurion, but look at that damage output. 106,000 on Tacita. Going absolutely bonkers in this game right now and really getting some value. Bias on his Chromie hasn't died once yet, so very nice frontline work here from his team, and also Brightwing with a really couple of good Emerald wins to keep him alive. But yeah, positioning wise, he's definitely doing the work here right now. Now the defense has started, and the Web Weavers have been turned in. Now I'm a little bit torn on that call, to be honest. It buys them a bit of breathing room, but I don't think they're going to get any value out of this outside of pushing these lanes back a little bit. They have still 2 heroes down, and the question that I have is simply, is that going to be enough? Maybe it would have been better to just wait it out a little bit longer, try to take the risk of another fight and then go for it. So they're going to get a bit of breathing room, but I don't think that the Web Weavers are actually going to net them something. And with netting something, I mean take down a keep. For example, the one in the mid lane. Like any keep at this point matters because you're putting an equilibrium onto the lane again. And that means that you have a good chance of dragging this out a little bit longer. But they're still moving through, and at this point you can really tell that the red team is in a position where they say, guys, we need to do something. We can't just stand here the entire time and just, yeah, chill. We need to get some value out of this, and they're already starting to put that in. Web Weaver is arriving, and now they want at least this keep, and there's a really good reason for that. Tassadar in particular can just start to zone that out, and he should do exactly that. Drop a couple of Storm Balls, but they're low already. Malfurion is doing whatever he can. Eisen at this point is really trying, but look at Bias again with the combo against Muradin, and Muradin is really starting to look shaky there. Nice move here by Johanna, also interrupting his trade from proccing, so keeping him on low HP a bit longer, and the blue team immediately going for the camp here. Really liking this. Top lane pressure is still there, yeah, but that's still not an issue. This is the fight, on the other hand, that could decide it all. Tassadar has the Twilight Archon again, and they're jumping in. They're going for it. The bunker's already on the ground, and in the backline, we're having the Void Prism being used. Captain G goes in. Ronimus, Muradin, he needs to clap, and he needs to clap soon. The Twilight Ream, and he jumps away, but Sif is about to fall against the 20 proc, but it looks like Muradin might actually fall here. Zeratul goes in, but it's Chrome who delivers the final blow. Trace, on the other hand, kills the front line. On the other side, here comes Tassadar. Undead. Oh, the auto attack! And get wrecked, son! He's down, and we have a 2-for-1 trade in favor of the red team as they are spinning to win down at the bot lane here. Tassadar just absolutely delivering, and this is the moment when you're actually looking for boss. They are looking for that right now, and of course they're showing here as well, which is a bit unfortunate for them. It would have been better to sneak around the right side to try and buy yourself a little bit more time, but this is gonna be a really awkward fight. This is the moment when the blue team has to say, guys, we need to take this. If they take the boss, this might be over. Bias is, of course, just firing away here. If he can get an easy kill, that would be great for them, but the boss is already on half health. They're starting to push in here. They have the vision. Once again, shots are being fired. Eisen keeping the boys alive, but look at Sonya in the backline. She's in trouble. All of a sudden, Blaze comes in. The tornado is actually wreaking havoc here, and the bunker is nearly down. Sonya is still alive, and they're going for the boss at this point. Brightwing is moving in. The Emerald Wind is already being used, but they're moving in again. Tracer is down on the other hand. That's the biggest problem here. No, for Malfurion, he falls as well. Tassadar is dead, and it's only Sonya, but Sonya! Oh, fuck me. Sonya is barely taken out here. She still kills Blaze, but now the boss moves through the top lane. Unbelievable. Bias here firing away the entire time. I'm actually not sure if I would have preferred maybe Tracer, maybe even Sonya trying to go for the kill here. But a 30-minute boss is absolutely bonkers right now. It was the one moment where the Giants thought, okay guys, we might have this. But as it turns out, the boss gets stolen, the Emerald Wind's so good. And Tassadar even going for the dimensional shift and making sure that it's not immediately taken away. But that was absolutely insane. Boss is taken, and I mean, that should be game. That has to be game. That is going to be game. They are moving in. They are going to confirm the game on Tomb of the Spider Queen. What a comeback by the Forever Alones here. 11 kills against 13, but the Giants with a pretty respectable performance here. Great job. GG as the Forever Alones take the game on Tomb of the Spider Queen against the CLN Giants. Thank you very much for watching today's episode, and if you guys liked the video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, and of course, if you want to support the channel, then make sure that you subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I'm going to be back with more content pretty soon, so see you guys soon with another Heroes of the Storm commentary, or maybe an interview or two.